smooth fade out by Baby Butts on the ones and twos. Welcome to another week of Brews and Belters. I am Keegan Gowitz. With me,
Jack Butler.
Tony NFL. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, indeed. So, Brews and Belters podcast, we talk all things football while sipping a few of our favorite local brews. Jack, what you drinking tonight?
Not a local, but it is timely. I am drinking Stone's Brewed Fresh IPA. So you have to drink it, enjoy by 1/1/21 unfiltered IPA. So 9.4%. Gonna get after it tonight.
Love it.
Kings, what are you drinking? I got a Church Street, Chicago suburb. It's a Belgian-style ale called Devil's Advocate. 9% alcohol. Tall boy cans. Comes in 4-packs. On sale. Local Friar Tuck. Go get you a pack in Central Illinois. What about you, Keegs?
Get them to sponsor.
Love it. A couple 9%ers. I am drinking a Fiesta Forever again from Triptych Brewing, which is a brewery out of Savoy, Illinois. And it is a 6% amber lager. And it's pretty delicious so far. I'm enjoying it.
So top two sponsors so far are going to be Friar Tuck's and the city of Savoy. Savoy has never gotten so much shout out as this podcast has given it. Get them on.
Yeah, we're giving Savoy a lot of shine, and for good reason. Last couple weeks, we've been kind of outlining a few episodes, and Savoy's gotten some shine because of Triptych Brewing. So yeah, let's get into it. The outline for this week, we're going to talk a few Premier League matches that stood out to us, then maybe run through the scores of the other matches real quick. Jack's going to run us through a couple big games in other leagues, Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich, and Hearts versus Celtic in the Scottish Cup. And then we're going to run through the rumor mill as the transfer window approaches for January. And then we'll wrap it up with our Belters of the Week and our Booze and Cheers. So, Tobes, why don't you kick us off with Tottenham-Leicester?
Okay, yeah, Tottenham-Leicester. Tottenham's on a great skid going. They're not even in the top 4 right now. I think they're number 5 on the table after losing back-to-back and then having a poor showing against Crystal Palace over a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, it didn't look good. I think the stat that everyone was the most amazed about watching the Spurs so far is the performance Kane and Son have both been putting up together. But once you get past those two on the goal-scoring chart, I think there's only 2 or 3 guys that have scored, and it's only 1 goal each. So no one else is producing for them, and that's really coming to the forefront. Leicester took it to them just like Liverpool did. Everything was going fine. And then right in like the 46th minute, for some reason, a right back who I've hated all last year, all the year before, coming from the French league, Serge Aurier. He's been playing good this year, but he still has dumb, boneheaded mistakes. Usually it's turnovers, but this year it's been just poor tackles. And he destroyed a guy, and VAR overruled it. And I want to say the 48th minute, they ended up getting a PK out of it right before the half. Jose's already walking down the tunnel, and Jamie Vardy sinks it 1-0. And that's literally how the half ended. So coming back on the front foot, but there was no front foot. They were instantly on their back heels again, and they end up getting a little lucky break. During the Liverpool game, Son had a 50-50, like you don't know when these guys are kicking it and when there's like actually where the foot is, like they're showing the line and everything for VAR. It went Son's way, which I agree it should always go the scorer's way if it's ever like that for the offense. Which I was thinking they were going to do the same thing this time, but they ended up not giving Leicester City their goal. So it stayed 1-0. And I mean, it was a bang bang play. I thought it was a goal. I thought they were up 2-0 in like the 50th minute. And then Tottenham didn't really ever respond. Lo Celso went down with an injury, and pretty much everything kind of microcosmed. They're getting hammered in the back lines, and they end up giving up an own goal, which I felt bad for Toby Alderweireld, their center back, who had the own goal. But I mean, even if he wouldn't have touched it, they were just being pounced on, and they just need help. Like they need an outlet. Their mid actually was what I was expecting and wanting at the start of the season. They had both Ndebele and they had Lo Celso playing, and then they also had Moussa Sissoko and Højbjerg. So they had 4 solid mid guys, and then they had Son and Kane up front, and then they had a back 4. And I was expecting more out of it, and they just didn't get it. So that's kind of like if we had a wish list on this whole rumor mill we're going to be talking about sooner than later. Tottenham still needs like one more forward, because I don't think they're getting anything out of Bale, and I don't know if they ever will. Gareth Bale might just be, he's old, so I don't expect anything from him. Mora's okay. Bergwijn's been okay, but he's still pretty young. I mean, he's only in his early 20s and just still adjusting. And, last year was his first season, and it was during COVID. So they got a lot to play for moving forward. They have tough games. They actually play inner squad in the Carabao Cup tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, Leicester looked good. They didn't look great, but they looked definitely good. But it just shows like how solid every team is in the Premier League. I mean, Leicester didn't look as good against Everton, and then the week before, Arsenal. It's like each week, all these teams, it's one play to go or not to take, and it just happens. And Tottenham, I mean, they're such a quick hitting team, and when they're not scoring, especially the top 2 guys, Kane and Son, like, yeah, it's tough. So.
And something we had kind of discussed and Jack brought up the other day was sort of that, 3 weeks ago, Jack and I said at the time, Tottenham look like top dogs. They look like the people to beat, the team to beat in the Premier League. And you mentioned inconsistencies with VAR, and I think inconsistency is a word that could be used to kind of sum up the whole season so far. You mentioned Leicester played okay, not great, still ended up getting the win against Tottenham. And prior to that against Everton, just that inconsistency from team to team. And we talk about the league's depth, and there is, I believe, definitely depth in the league and a lot of quality in the league. But not every week do you know where that quality is going to come from. You look at Liverpool, Fulham. Liverpool didn't look good. Fulham did look good, though. It wasn't just a matter of Liverpool played poorly. It was a matter of Fulham were on their heels with every time they touched the ball. Fulham were looking to attack. So it's really been an inconsistent season so far, which as a fan is frustrating. Obviously, with you being a Tottenham supporter, these last couple weeks have been frustrating. I know that at moments Jack's been frustrated. The Villa game, I was frustrated as a Liverpool supporter. But as a fan of the game, it makes things pretty enjoyable because you're like, what the fuck's going to happen this week?
And the thing, like, I agree with you, Tobes, on the getting another piece to add to the forward line, because when I look at who I would say would be the top contenders right now, it's still so early in the season. Like, we think that the holiday season is kind of like the midway, but it's really not. Like, the season has still got so much left to it. And if you look at Liverpool, if you look at where Tottenham's at, and so Tottenham, right? So it's slides against a draw against Palace, a loss to Liverpool, and now this last weekend's loss. Who is going to be like? Is that still the top 3? I think Tottenham's actually slowly getting out of the top 3, and I'm waiting for City to put it all together because City's back looks so much more in unison than it has in years past, and you just wait for guys like Aguero, Sterling, and the guys that that are gonna be able to put the way they go. meshed yet, or it just hasn't clicked yet this season, but it's going to. So like now as I'm seeing this unfold, City becomes more of my favorite as Tottenham is just sliding down, and Liverpool is still very I don't know. I don't know if Liverpool has got the firepower at this point, but it's still so early.
Yeah, and it's still so tight too. You mentioned City. City's in 8th place right now. So, naturally when you say they're creeping up as one of your favorites, I raised a brow, but they're in 8th place and they're, I think, like 7 points off, 7 points off the top, 8 points off the top maybe. And with the way things are going, if they win 3 matches in a row and other teams, drop 2, everything could look completely different. I mean, it's crazy to think that Manchester United's in 3rd place right now with how wild their season's been.
Insane.
So just kind of that says a lot. Shall we move on? Liverpool Crystal Palace. All right. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised when I saw the lineups. A bit surprised to see Minamino in for Salah. And a little bit surprised to see Curtis Jones not get the start because he's been playing phenomenal. But I understand wanting to rest guys. And I don't know. Crystal Palace, I just didn't really expect to be the team that we did that against for one reason or another. I think they've got some weapons. Zaha, obviously. My boy Abrekiezi, who I think I've shouted out in every episode that we've done so far. Patrick Van Aanholt can be pretty dangerous. But Crystal Palace, actually the first half looked pretty dangerous, and I thought that Liverpool going up 4-0 was pretty unfair to the way they played. But really after like the 40th minute, it was all Liverpool. And the thing with Liverpool, again, inconsistency. They've had a little bit of trouble in the final third, tucking away opportunities in the last 3 weeks or so. And this week it was the complete opposite, where it just felt like every chance they got, they were going to bury. They were super, super efficient in front of goal. And it just seemed like they were doing whatever they want. I think Salah's second goal kind of summed it up, their form offensively. Well, I mean, everyone knew what he was going to do. It's like when Iron Robin got the ball on the right side of the box, and you knew he was going to cut in on that left foot and just have one. And he still just did it and got away with it. And it was just that kind of day for them where everything clicked. So I'm obviously was elated with the result as a Liverpool supporter, but I'm kind of holding my breath because that's just the way that this season's been, where they'll go and drop points next week now. I hope that doesn't happen, but it just kind of feels like it might.
Who do you guys have on Boxing Day?
They have West Brom.
Big Sam's gonna just lay it on you.
Yeah. Rough first week for Big Sam. Rough first week back in the league.
Is that the right move for West? I mean, I guess it's probably like the only move for West Brom to do. Bring in Big Sam.
But, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else they do, and I don't know who else they were looking at, really. That all happened pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, you're just looking for a guy to just keep them up and save it. I mean,
yeah, they have one goal this season, stay up, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, Sheffield, they're literally gifting them. All you have to do is like be better than us, like be better than 2 other teams, and you're in for another year. And there should be more money in the Premier League next year, I would assume, with TV rights going a little bonkers this year with COVID. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, I feel like they should try and go for it all this January transfer window and try and at least get 1 or 2 more players, because they're not terrible, they're just not very good. Like, they're definitely a bottom tier team, but I mean, they should be just as good as Burnley.
Yeah, not a Sheffield. They're not a Sheffield, and that's the thing. Sheffield's kind of down there in a league of their own in the worst sense of the term. And I mean, then the other 2 spots are going to be a little bit of a battle. But we're kind of drifting from the Liverpool Palace. I really don't have that many other notes because it really just was all around a really strong attacking performance by Liverpool. And I think most people have probably seen the highlights, so I don't need to go too far into detail. One huge thing that stood out to me is Bobby Firmino is having fun again while playing, which is really scary for Premier League defenses. Toby's cheesing right now, imitating Bobby Firmino's smile.
I was gonna say, I think I said last week Zaha had the best teeth in the Premier League, but after his goal to put them up over Tottenham, I think I'm gonna give him the teeth again. He gets the teeth award.
Bobby heard you talking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and it's not just the fact that he's scoring goals again, it's the fact that he's such a creative player. He's such a great number 9 when his interplay is there. And his interplay isn't there if he's frustrated and if he's not having fun and if he's not confident. And having fun and being confident go hand in hand for him. And I mean, his touch to score on that ball in from Robertson where he received it at the top of the 18 or near the penalty spot, was just unbelievable. And then it's just an effortless little flick with the outside of the right foot. Like that's Firmino's like pinnacle. So as long as he's having fun, I think they'll play well. But yeah, let's move on. Everton Arsenal, Jack, what you got for us?
I mean, it's just it reminds me of early on in the year when Everton was flying high. It's kind of that same vibes again, where you're trying not to get too high, but you're also just like really enjoying the moment because these moments don't come very often. Where you're right, like Chelsea, Leicester, and now Arsenal, all 3 in a row. It makes it a lit. Well, so I'll say like at the beginning where when I saw who was starting, you get really excited that Carlo is sticking with 4 at the back with Ben Godfrey and Mason Holgate playing on the wings. So when I saw that lineup, I was like, yes. And from there, it just, I don't know. It was honestly like it wasn't a beautiful game. Like it was in the trenches. Like we're just gonna hold out on this, and it doesn't fucking matter at the end of the day if you're winning games. That's it. Felt good to get another win. Ben Godfrey is just got like the heart of Evertonians right now. The guy just plays his heart out every single game. I love watching him. Iwobi had another. Sorry, what did you say?
Was he the guy that had that crushing tackle? Was that him?
Yes. Yeah. As soon as he laid that tackle in, like he was already had the hearts of everyone, and then once he laid that tackle in, everyone was just like, "This guy is a lifer." Like, Alex Iwobi put in another great shift. He didn't have as much running up as he had in previous games, but he did a lot of tracking back and making sure Tierney didn't have as many quality crosses in. So those two are really my standouts. I thought Tom Davis, he came in with Alan, who's now on the injured list. I got a special kind of just place in my heart for Tom because, right, he's a Liverpool guy. But he did a really good job. He wasn't anything special. In the first, he kind of faded. It faded in the second half, but his first half performance was really solid. Did exactly what he was supposed to do. Controlled the ball, slowed the pace, and was really impressed with him in the first half especially. Unfortunate that he gave away that PK. I don't blame him for it. Like you should, yes, you should be a little bit more aware of what's around you, but it happens. So anyway, that great performance, great win. We're riding high. We got United in the cup tomorrow in the Carabao Cup, and everyone is wanting to win a trophy. So that we hopefully Carlo doesn't mess up or doesn't tinker too much with the lineup. Hopefully he sticks with this more or less this core. Seamus Coleman is available. I'd be okay with Seamus Coleman maybe going in for Mason Holgate. But for the most part, we're hoping that we can really stick it to United. That could go to Sim Park tomorrow. Got a half day, so start my vacation early.
Love that. Love that. Great way to start it. I'm a little bit curious with Ancelotti. Obviously, you want some silverware. You've got a team who could win some silverware. Do they go for the Carabao Cup, or right now you're sitting in a fourth place spot in the Premier League? Is his focus on bucket? We're top four at the holiday. Let's try and push for a Champions League spot.
Well, I still think so. I mean, going into this, Champions League would be great, but if we ended up top 6 and got Europa, if we got top 6 and made a deep run at a cup, like that would be a win.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, like hopefully he plays a full squad on Wednesday, and then we have Sheffield United on Boxing Day. So then you can slag off a little bit there, but watch Sheffield get their first win against us. Like that would be the most Everton thing to happen. Anyway, I mean, we'll see what happens, but overall, I mean, those are pretty much my points. Tom Davis looked good. Iwobi looked good. I mean, the back four, you can't ask for 2 guys who are playing out of position. You can't ask for much more. And just a good, grindy win that doesn't look pretty, but those are necessary, come December.
Yeah.
I don't think Jordan Pickford... Did Jordan Pickford play that game too?
He did play that game, and I don't... Carlo is a better manager than any of us, couch quarterbacking people will be. I mean, but I don't get it. I don't get what he's trying to do when he throws in, what's his name, Olsen, right? He's a Swede, so we'll say it's Olsen, right? Because he was coming off a really great game previous to that. Pickford was, so I don't know. I mean, it's man management, but we got one unfortunate PK against us, and other than that, it was 2 clean sheets. So I'm not gonna mess with it.
Yeah. Just going to run through really quickly the rest of the results from the weekend. We had Southampton, Man City. Man City came out on top 1-0. Fulham and Newcastle tied 1-1. Brighton and Sheffield United also tied 1-1. Commentator at the end of that match was sneak dissing on Sheffield United and said that they had doubled their point total for the year, which means that they're at 2 points total. Manchester United with a huge win over Leeds 6-2. McTominay was brilliant. I know Toby has got some further notes about that maybe later on, but played phenomenal.
I didn't mention this though, but McTominay also for Everton, he came off that match, right? He came off that match with a knock, so hopefully he's not available tomorrow. Because I watched the extended highlights on that, and yeah, he looks filthy.
Scott, heal well and come back strong against Everton, please. But yeah, they look great. Not only his 2 goals, but a couple really nice balls in. He had the assist for Daniel James' goal, his first goal of the season, and his first goal since like August of 2019. Aston Villa beat West Brom 3-0. Chelsea beat West Ham 3-0. Burnley 2, Wolves 1. And then we're going to move on actually to Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich, who are the top 2 in Bundesliga going into the weekend. Jack, what's up with that?
Just honestly, a fantastic game to watch. It was end-to-end excitement. I haven't watched a lot of these teams. I haven't watched one Leverkusen game this year, but incredibly impressed with how open this game was. It started off with Schick just had a rip of a goal in the 14th minute that was off the volley, just savage. And then it stayed open. Lewandowski did what he did putting in a goal in the 43rd minute, so right before half to equalize it, and then in the 93rd minute just poached one more to give Bayern the go ahead. But again, just end to end exciting action, just what I expect when I watch a Bundesliga match at the top flight. Is really exciting, and it didn't disappoint. I was really my match of the weekend. Fantastic to watch.
Is Lewandowski, is he the best player in the world right now?
I mean, he got his award before the match. He was FIFA's Man of the Year in 2020. Yeah. We kind of got into this a little bit before. I don't think there's anybody that's mastered his craft more than him. I mean, that's not a hot take. I think that's just fact at this point. There's more exciting people to watch, you know.
Yeah.
But he's mastered his craft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it, Jack. When we discussed this a couple weeks ago, you broke it down based on that. Like, you know, he's the best at his position. He's the best at what he does. And I think that might be the only way you can break it down. You know, it's difficult to compare a holding mid to a striker, to a center back, to a goalkeeper. And you know, to me, Kevin De Bruyne sticks out as the best player on the planet right now. But then, you know, immediately you responded when we talked about this a couple weeks ago and said, you know, if you're talking about what they do and what they bring to their team and their role, Lewandowski, and I immediately was like, oh shit, yeah. So yeah, I think you got to kind of look at it through that lens. A couple notes about that match. A poacher's goal it was, his second one. Jonathan Tah from Leverkusen gave the ball away in Leverkusen's half, a heavy touch that went like straight to Kimmich, who just kind of tapped it through to Lewandowski with his first touch, and you know, he put it away. But Kimmich is a player to me that, you know, during big games like last year's Champions League final, people kind of gave him that credit that he deserved because he was on the big stage. But other than that, you know, they just play in the Bundesliga all year, and he just kind of gets looked over. He's not in the Premier League. He's not really doesn't get the limelight that a lot of other players might get. But to me, he's one of the most complete players on the planet. When he's at right back, he's one of the best right backs in the world. When he's in the midfield, he's one of the best mids in the world. He's super intelligent, really physical, and has that class with his touch, with his shots, and with his passing that, you know, a finesse type of player has. And to me, he's just a player that always stands out when I watch Bayern, and I feel like he could play in any back line and in any midfield in Europe, which is a pretty huge statement to make about a player. And then one other thing, if you guys don't have anything else about this match, during the Madrid derby, you saw Real Madrid's experience kind of shine through towards, you know, the later minutes of that match. You saw Joao Felix kind of getting frustrated with not being able to break through that back line. And that's where you see a team with, they had like 7 or 8 players with 3 Champions League trophies under their belts on the pitch at that moment. And Atletico's been really good this year, but you just see that class shine through and that experience shine through and that chip on their shoulder where they say, you know, we've been here too many times. They just have that big game mentality. And to me, that was a big difference just going back and rewatching the Leverkusen Bayern game, where it's just like Bayern have been here before. They got Thomas Muller, they got Kimmich, they got Lewandowski, you know, and even their younger guys have that kind of chip on their shoulder from training with those guys.
The only other thing that I would highlight from that match too, that I haven't followed Bayern enough this year to know what the ramifications is of this, but in the 30th minute, Leroy Sané was subbed in after a player took a knock, and then he was subbed off in the 60th minute. So I don't know what the story is. There was an article that I meant to read today on The Athletic about Sané, and how he's been doing at Bayern, but never a sign when you were sub 30th and then taken off in the 60th. But anyway, just something, I don't know if the personality that kind of had him rub up against the folks over at City, or what his story is, but just something that I took note of was his development there.
Yeah, super interesting, and something I had kind of glossed over and didn't put down in my notes, but is definitely worth following up on because, yeah, I mean, just a bizarre situation, and that's kind of their golden boy that he was set to go there, and they were set to go after him. So makes it even more interesting. What about the Scottish Cup final? Celtic versus Hearts.
Match of the weekend for a different reason. This was not pretty. This was exactly what I think of. We got Keeks.
Can I begin just really quick? For those who may not be familiar, the Scottish Cup final is really what it sounds like. It's a competition for all of the Scottish Football Association teams. So there's about 100 clubs altogether who compete for this. It is the equivalent of the FA Cup final for teams from England. So just so everyone knows, the Scottish Cup was first established in like the 1870s. Celtic have the most titles with 40. Rangers are behind them with 33. So winning the title is pretty huge for Celtic and Rangers, especially as they continue to compete to be like the elite Scottish clubs. Just a quick explanation for anybody who may be tuning in who isn't familiar.
And I mean the thing too that made this incredibly unique is Hearts are in a unique circumstance. They were relegated last year, very controversially. Hearts is a huge club in Scotland, and they were relegated because when the season ended, they were in the bottom three, so they decided to just relegate everybody that was in the bottom three at that point in time. So Hearts are in the championship in Scotland, but again, huge club with a lot of big names. Craig Gordon, who won 3 trebles with Celtic over the last 5 years, is their goalkeeper now. Yeah. Andy Holliday, who was a long time, or maybe not a long time, but he was with Rangers for some time. Newsmith, who is captaining them, is a long time Scottish just face. So a lot of tenureship in Hearts lineup. As they try to get back, and they should get back to the Scottish Premier League this year. So anyway, so just another Bill backstory of like what Hearts has a chip on their shoulder coming into this match because they don't think that they should be down there, which I would argue they shouldn't with their record. So going into this match, though, you thought that Celtic had the match from the beginning. I was about to turn it off, to be totally honest. 2-0 going into halftime. Celtic opens it up. Ryan Christie with not a belter of the week, but a really nice left foot off of outside the 18. And
I'm gonna crack one open to that. That goal was fucking gorgeous, man.
Yeah, dude. So it was this take too. The take that he had that first touch. And then outside the 18, left foot curled it perfect, like right into the top corner. Ryan Christie too, an emotional guy. If you watched Scotland is making into the Euros for the first time. I don't know how long it's been, like 20 years since Scotland's been in a major international tournament. And his interview afterwards went viral. Anyway, so a great goal to start it off. Ends 2-0, and I was like, all right, Celtic got this in hand. Like, they're a better club, a better team. But right off the bat, Hearts come out with another goal or score 2-1 in the 48th minute. And then it was just back and forth. So then it was 2-2 in the 67th minute. So I'm looking at my notes right now. So again, my first club that I actually started supporting was Celtic. So I say 2-2. Hearts score off a corner in the 67th minute. They should just fuck off. That's is my note. Goes into extra time. 30 minutes extra time. It's not golden goal. It's 30 minutes all the way through. 15 minutes into that, Lee Griffiths scores off of Scott Brown had a fantastic header, and Scott Brown, like, this is his type of match, dude. Like, he was as troll could be throughout the entire game. It was so much fun to watch Scott Brown with that swagger. Anyway, so Celtics up. And then off another set piece in the 21st minute, it goes 3-3 with Hart scoring again, and it goes into PKs for only the third time in Scottish Cup history in the 115 years. Third time in history that's gone to PKs. And Connor Hazard, who actually, if my memory serves me right, I believe I read a story on him a couple of years ago. He started playing soccer really late. He played Gaelic football. He's from Northern Ireland. He played Gaelic football, where you're using your hands a lot. And so when he ended up playing soccer, he just transitioned to a goalie from his time playing Gaelic football. And he came up with 2 big saves, and Celtic are champions. 15th year in a row that Celtic has won some type of cup. So just a really big deal for that club, and we'll see what happens for them in the future. I think Neil Lennon's probably going to lose his job. It shouldn't have been that close. They're a better team. So we'll see what's up with Neil Lennon. But really fun. Going into PKs in a Scottish Cup final. Can't beat that.
Good stuff, Jack. Good stuff on the recap. Gaelic football, all sorts of tidbits. Brendan, can you give us some sort of sound effect to encompass what we just witnessed? For those of you who don't know, that is Brendan, aka Butt, aka Baby Butt, who we shouted out at the beginning of the episode. He's our sound man / researcher if we need anything looked up. So give a little sip of your beer, a little cheers to Brendan. But yeah, great recap from Jack, and really the final the 2 extra time goals tell a whole story for me of the match, and everything that I've seen of Scottish football from the bit that I've watched, and it makes me want to watch more. Every goal in this match, and especially the last 2 scored, were a result of 4 to 6 players just completely sacrificing their bodies and souls for the sake of putting the ball in the back of the net. They didn't care if they did it with their foot or their head or their chest. They didn't care if they cracked their skull doing it. It was a super entertaining match. You can see how much this cup meant to all the players on the pitch. 1, with the way they played the match, and 2, with their celebration when the final penalty went in. But yeah, Ryan Christie with an absolute peach. He was actually the first player for Celtic to be denied during PKs, and he actually hit it just like the goal he scored. Left foot to the top left corner with some bend on it. But his first goal was just really, really beautiful. Moving on, Serie A actually had a couple fun ones that I just wanted to touch on really quick. Atalanta stomped on Roma actually 4-1, and it seems like with Atalanta, again, inconsistency is a word that describes them well. If Ilicic and Gomez play well, Atalanta are great. And this weekend, Ilicic played really well. For Roma, former Arsenal player and Man United player Henrik Mkhitaryan has been playing really well. He had a nice goal. But yeah, Atalanta were just too much for them attacking-wise. Inter 2-1 over Spezia. Juve beat Parma 4-0. Kulusevski, who's kind of made his name last year at Parma, scored the first goal against them this year. Lazio 2-0 Napoli. Napoli is another team who's been really inconsistent. I'm kind of waiting for them to prove that they're a really good team. They've got two great center backs in Koulibaly and Kostas Manolas, and then they've got really good attacking options with Dries Mertens, Chucky Lozano, Lorenzo Insigne, Victor Osimhen. They just can't seem to put it together. And then, so the top four in Serie A right now is AC Milan with 31 points, Inter with 30, Juve with 27, and Roma with 24. And then Ligue 1, I've been trying to watch just a bit more of that because of my boy Oussem Aouar. Lyon won 4-1 this week. Lille is actually in first place in Ligue 1 with 33 points and +1 on goal differential. Lyon is behind them with 33 points behind a goal. PSG's got 32. Marseille's got 28. And then Rennes has 28. So pretty tight race in Ligue 1. I'm trying to make an effort to watch them a bit more. But let's move forward to our wish list for our three clubs and any transfer rumors that might be interesting to us. Toby, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I'm going to blend those together a little bit. So, I mean, I kind of touched on mine with Tottenham earlier with the team's wish list. Center back, I mean, they have Toby Alderweireld, and they also have Eric Dyer, who's been playing good this season, but when he screws up, man, he screws up bad. Like, that goal that was called offsides, like, that was all him. Like, he lost track of the man and let a guy in right behind him. And then with the Bobby Firmino goal, that was him, like, slipping and pretty much causing Liverpool to have a pick screen go on because he slipped and his guy got away from him. And so, like, when he screws up bad. And they did sign this young kid from Swansea, but he's barely been able to play because of a champion. He was signed after the signing date because in Europe with COVID, they allowed the championship teams an extra time period to be signed to Premier League teams. And so he was in that time period. So he was actually signed after the cutoff day period. So because of that, he doesn't qualify he hasn't been able to play any of the Europa games. And so he hasn't got a lot of playing time because he's not good enough to play, starters minutes in the Premier League. So they do need another center back, I think, with a lot more experience. There was quite a bit of rumors with different Italian league team players that were going to be positioned there. And then, the main one for me is still a forward, specifically someone with a right foot that could start on the right or left side, both, with just some like creativity that could pass but mostly shoot. Like, I pretty much want like a best player in the world to come. But yeah, so that's like my wish list with that. With the rumor mills that I kind of have going on right now, the main one that there's two that I thought were going to happen that I don't, from what I've been told, one is definitely off the look. I thought Harry Winks, who he's only, I thought he was really old. He's only 24 and he's still like young. He's on the England national team. He just doesn't fit the requirements. And then he's playing behind Højbjerg, who's like the number one player for the Premier League. So I think, for him, it'd be good to get him out of there, or at least loan him to somewhere where he would play substantial minutes. But with that being said, they don't want to get rid of him at all because he's kind of like a Harry Kane. Like, he's the guy. He's one of their golden boys they've had in their system since he was like 12. And then the other main one is Dele Alli. Like, I could see him playing tomorrow just because it's the Carabao Cup, but he's finally getting, like, he's at least on the bench, like, because they expanded it to 9 people, so you at least see his name, but he's barely getting any time, and I think they need to just move on from him altogether. I don't even think it's worth loaning out at this point. I think you just transfer him and get money for him, and then put that towards the center back is what I'm wanting to see happen. Do you want me to keep going with the other rumors I got, or do you want to just kind of stick with our own teams?
Yeah, go.
What do you want to go for? So, the other two that I mildly hope happens is I hope Pogba, my boy Paulie P, gets out of Man U. Like, not only do I hate Manchester United and I want to root for this guy, but like, they don't use him, and when they do use him, they don't use him the way he should be used. In my opinion, I think he should be spaced out better, and kind of like how like when he was in the World Cup, like he did everything for France. Like he literally did everything. He was like one of their best defenders on the ball on set pieces, and then he would come out and he was like end the attack as well. And so from what I've been told is what I've been reading is that there's quite a bit of rumors with him being
You've
linked
been
up.
told. You've been told. My resources.
Weston McKennie
There we go.
messaged me direct, and yeah, so Juventus is like his number one, where they're looking to just.
I got this guy named Coach Gaspar.
So I'd like to see Pogba leave, and I don't want to see him go to another Premier League team. I want to see him get out and go to, preferably, in my opinion, I would like to see him go to an Italian league team. Definitely not a German league team, but maybe a Spanish team too, like a top 2 or 3. So yeah, there's that, and then every week I would like to kind of highlight a different player from MLS that's like doing awesome, and the one that's like really coming up on everyone's wish list right now is FC Dallas's Brian Reynolds. He's a defender. He's 19. He's 6'3". He's a big kid. He's not real thick, but he's big, and so he'll be kind of scouting him like a hockey player. But he'll be definitely on a lot of people's list. And just as of like an hour ago, the most recent claim is Juventus. With over the last week, Bruges and then Roma are both interested in him. So he's leaving. It's just a matter of who wants to spend the most to get him. And I think it'd be really cool to have 2 Americans in Juventus, not just like some of the Spanish leagues that are starting to pick them up. But I mean, there's always been a pipeline to the German, to the Bundesliga, but there hasn't been to Italy whatsoever. So it's kind of cool that like some of these young kids, because there's a few from Miami and there's a few from the New York squads that are being looked at as well. So it's just a matter of time, and it's just awesome to think that like where our country was 10 to 15 years ago to where they are now, where like people actually value our developmental programs here. Which I mean, that's a whole nother pod. Like for another day, we could dedicate an entire time period on that. But yeah, so he's the guy right now that everyone's talking about in Europe is Brian Reynolds. So that's what I got. What do you guys got, Jack?
So if I was sticking with Everton, I have to I'm keeping this realistic. Marcel Brands does not like to do business in January. Our technical director. So I don't really see much happening. You just don't get a lot of bang for your buck. A lot of times you're buying people that are just on the outs with their clubs. So with that being said, I would like to see some movement, get some people off of our books. Chick Tosin is a guy who I really like as a person, but he just isn't at the quality that we are looking to be at a club. Burra has been linked to him again. So hopefully we could either offload him over to Middlesbrough, or today there was a link with Eredivisie club that could be looking at him. So hopefully like Chick Tosin to move. It's probably realistically the person that we could offload. And the people that we need are actually people that are on loan already. Like, we need somebody to back up DCL and Richarlison, and that person is Moise Kean, who's doing very well at PSG. So we need another forward. We need someone that can back them up. Moise Kean would be great to have back at the end of the year. We have him on contract, but what his ambitions are, it might not be with Everton, but we'll see. And then the other person is actually Theo Walcott, a person who I didn't think that I would want to have back, and he's been doing very well for Southampton, but a guy that could actually fit in pretty well with the style that we're playing, and the depth that we need would be a guy like Theo. But really, I mean, if we did any business in January, we've been linked with Dele Alli, which I don't know if that's real. but I would welcome that. He's still a young guy that's got a bright future. I think a guy like him with a chip on his shoulder would do well with the character of Everton. Um, uh, but really, we need depth in all positions. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, that's our story. But I would think that we won't do anything in January. But hopefully, we can offload a Jake Tosin if someone wants to come in. I don't think this is going to happen, but if someone wants to come in and buy a Sigurdsson who's actually still been doing well, but if you could offload him to maybe get more bang for your buck since he's been doing well, that'd be something to look at. But it's just not going to happen for us.
Yeah, Dele Ali would be really interesting. I would love to see him and Ancelotti mesh and just see how Ancelotti handles him. After obviously him and Marino haven't worked out very well. And Theo Walcott is an interesting thought too. Seeing him work up with the youngins, DCL and Richarlison, and maybe share some of that experience and knowledge that he has with those guys would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, he's on loan this year, but I believe his contract is up at the end of this year, so he's probably going to be done with Everton at the end of this year, which I don't blame him for. Good guy, but again, like he would just fit in. His directness would fit in with a backup that we need. We're playing a very direct style of football right now. I also don't really say football. I usually say soccer. So I'm kind of catching myself there.
Back strong, guys.
Yeah, but anyway, I just he would actually do well. I'm glad to see that he's doing well for Southampton.
Yeah, and his celebrations against Arsenal are amazing. So that alone, just him celebrating, that was like a quick little tidbit from like last week or so when they had that like shit storm of red cards. Everyone says you're not supposed to celebrate against your former team, and he was like, "Nope, don't care," and it was awesome because I mean that was my only. I didn't get to talk any shit about Arsenal earlier, so I had to throw something in there. So that was it.
Dude, we can start throwing it at Arsenal if we want to. I mean,
they got City today, so.
We're right about an hour, so I think we should keep it pushing unless we're really burning to.
No, go, keep.
No, keep going.
Let's
keep
hear
going.
your rumors, bro.
Yeah, I really don't have too much just pertaining to Liverpool and kind of my wish list. There was some bullshit. I hope and assume that it's bullshit about Salah being kind of rubbed the wrong way. I guess there was a quote that he was disappointed that he wasn't picked as the captain for their cup match midweek last week. When Hendo was out of the lineup, Milner obviously is injured. DVD is injured. He thought he might be captain. Really, over the next few years, Salah's 28 or 29. With Van Dijk and Henderson in front of him, he's not going to be captain. And even after, Van Dijk, Henderson, and Milner, I would put Robertson in front of him. I think Robertson's just a natural captain. But Trent Alexander-Arnold was selected to wear the badge, which I think is a great move because he's been at the club since he was like fucking 11. And he is the future that when, Van Dijk and Henderson and obviously Milner, who I'm surprised hasn't moved on already, and Salah are all gone, Alexander-Arnold will still be there. So, it just makes sense that he gets the badge. So I'm sure it was probably one of those cases of a reporter asking him directly, how'd you feel about that? And it's one of those answers where a player's not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm good with that. It's like it's kind of that ego thing of like, oh, well, of course I was disappointed, but blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure it's been taken out of context. At least I'm hoping because, of course, after that, place is fucking erupted with rumors that Salah's unhappy, so he'll be leaving and all this shit. So, on my wish list is Mo staying in Liverpool, which I think it will happen. Other than that, there's been some rumors about Jorginho Wijnaldum maybe heading to Inter, and if he does, us grabbing Renato Sanchez from Lille, and he's had an incredible year. I think people forget Renato Sanchez is 25, maybe 24. But he really burst onto the scene with Bayern Munich and didn't like totally pan out, and he was like 17, 18. But now he's kind of grown through the ranks and matured. And as much as I love Genie, I think he brings a ton to our team. I think he's a workhorse in the middle. And I would really, truly, truly hate to see him go. I think that I think I would be okay with this move. It would be really hard to see Wijnaldum move on. But I think it would be a smart business move where we're getting a younger version of him, basically, who's probably got maybe not quite the work rate, but he's got the skill that Wijnaldum has, and Klopp tends to be able to get that work rate out of players. Where I think it would be a smart business move. I would really hate to see Wijnaldum leave, though. He's one of those guys that you just love as a fan. So it's kind of a weird situation to be in. Other than that, thanks, Brendan. There have been rumors of Deo Upamecano from RB Leipzig, center back, maybe being targeted by a few Premier League teams, Arsenal, Manchester United, and Liverpool being amongst those names. I would love to see that just because right now we got Reece Williams, who's very, very young and inexperienced in the back, and he's played well, but very young and inexperienced. Van Dijk's out long term. Matip's getting older, and he's played pretty well when he's been called upon, but he's getting older. And he gets a lot of knocks. And then Joe Gomez obviously is out long term. And we got Fabinho back there who's been great. Even though that's not his natural position, he's been great. But it would just help to have another center back, and Upamecano's very, very good. So I would love to see that too. Just other general transfer rumors. Yeah, I would love to see Pogba go to Juventus, but from what I hear, sounds like that would be a summertime move. At least that's what Fabrizio's told me. I don't know what he's told you, Toby. I know you guys have a lot of personal chats, but I was scrolling through his Twitter, and you mentioned Brian Reynolds, and he was on a podcast. Actually, Fabrizio was on a podcast, and it was quoted saying he could become the new Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is a pretty huge statement. That's really exciting.
USA.
But yeah, 18-year-old right back. It sounds like like you mentioned, Roma, Bruges, and Juventus on to sign him. So pretty exciting stuff.
I mean, it could happen though. I mean, Juve. I didn't realize Juve is 6 points behind Milan. If they're still, they're probably going to have to make some January moves if they're
the thing is
to play catch up here.
And maybe they'd play him at left back. I don't know, or move Cuadrado. But Cuadrado's been like a huge highlight for them this year, making that move to right wing back from right winger where he's normally played. So. Yeah, I don't know. I would be interested to see what they did with him and Cuadrado. So, but yeah, I mean, if he's as good as what people are saying, then yeah, I would imagine Pirlo will go for him. Let's move on to our filters of the week. Who wants to start us off?
I'll start.
I'll go first.
I'll start. Oh, damn
Jack,
it.
you go. No, Jack. Okay, I'm going to go. Mine is from the Man United and Leeds game, where McTominay had 2 goals in the first 3.5 minutes of the game, and his first goal was in literally the first minute, and it was a banger. Oh my god, this thing just went rocketed, and it was perfect because we've been doing the whole Celtic cards thing, and McTominay is they're the national team holding defender for them. It was phenomenal. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. I've never seen that from Scott McTominay. I actually really like him as a player. I'm going to put him, once Pogba gets out, I want him to get out as well. So just seeing him get that was awesome, in my opinion. So, that was my Belter of the week.
He's been a big highlight for United. He's a lot of fun to watch. That's the tough thing about United. They have some of those players that you just really love watching, but you just wish they would get out of there. Mike, what's up? What you got? Jack may be taking a little potty break, so I'm gonna go ahead with mine. I actually had Duvan Zapata from Atalanta. It wasn't a belter from super far out. He was in his own box, but he absolutely smashed it in off of the bottom of the crossbar. It was a pretty sick goal. He hit it with his chest, man. He put everything into it. So
Nice.
I think that's my goal of the week. Either that or Tobin Heath. Quick shout out to the Women's Super League.
Tobin Heath. Do that.
Yeah. She had 2 goals, one from distance, with the left. It was a little bit more of a curler than a belter though, so that's why I didn't give it to her. But it was a great goal. Jack seems to be struggling a little bit loading back in.
Can you see me now?
Oh,
hear me?
I can't see you, but we can hear you. So go ahead with what's your belter of the week?
Alluded to it earlier, but Schick's volley for Leverkusen against Bayern was perfect form. Best goal that I saw this week. So shout out to him. And great match for Leverkusen.
Bananas, yeah.
That was the goal that I'm in my rec league indoor, and a ball bounces to me that perfectly, and I go to do that, and it slices like perfectly up into the ceiling. Like, that takes a lot of talent to be able to hit it. Like, he was literally, his leg was probably parallel to the ground at that point. Yeah, he smoked it. It was amazing. That is like one of those goals. I'm like, God, I wish I could do that. Like, that's why I didn't play soccer that long. That was awesome.
You just wish you could lift your leg that high. Like, fuck making that crisp of contact. Like, if I could just lift my leg that high, I'd be good. Yeah. We'll move on to our booze and cheers. I'm gonna kick this off with I'm gonna give a quick cheers to Rafael Leao, who scored the fastest goal. I didn't touch on the AC Milan match in Serie A because of this. I wanted to save it. Scored the quickest goal in Serie A history, scoring in 6.5 seconds. And I would recommend checking this out if you can pull up the clip. Just look up Serie A Tim's YouTube page, because the entire Milan team takes off immediately after kicking the ball off, like just as a unit, like an army of troops just sprinting in medieval times ready to kill. And it was nuts. Like, immediately, I was watching the match, and I'm just like, what's going on? Why are they all sprinting forward? And they put a couple passes together, and all of a sudden he scores. It was nuts. Another quick highlight from that game that I didn't get to mention earlier, Domenico Berardi scored off of a free kick for Sassuolo, and he's got 6 goals and 4 assists in 12 matches. If you're interested in checking out Serie A, keep an eye on him. Jack, boo, cheer.
Cheer is gonna be a little bit different. I'm cheering just ESPN. I have thoroughly enjoyed ESPN Plus. Been subscribed to it for a long time, and since it came out, and it's crazy to me to think how spoiled we are that I can go from watching Scottish Cup to Sassuolo against Fiorentina in the midweek to what was it? Who did Norwich have this weekend? For Toby, I watched Norwich just like a little bit. I didn't watch the whole thing, but was trying to get some Pookie action. Just props to ESPN for just being the hub for soccer for $5 a month. Love watching ESPN FC. I think it's probably the best soccer hour daily show that you can get. So just really enjoying that I have access where so many people for a long time to go into the deep realms of the internet to really get some streams. So for $5 a month, I'll pay for it.
And I want to first of all, we are not sponsored by ESPN, but we're not against it if anybody has any connects. Second of all, right now in an era where the sport is growing hugely in the States, it's great to have a platform as big as ESPN offer as much as they are for as cheap as they are. And you see, you hear about all this talk about how we want the sport to grow in our country. And I've had a serious beef with CBS and NBC for NBC's, saving the best match of the week for Peacock. And Peacock isn't super expensive, don't get me wrong. But, these are the matches that are on cable. The championship isn't on cable. Most Bundesliga matches aren't on cable. ESPN's doing us a favor with that. Peacock NBC is pretending to do us a favor with Peacock being cheap and affordable. But really, those are matches that last year were on cable for free. Yeah, or not for free, but for what you pay for standard cable. So shout out to ESPN truly for making games that typically weren't accessible versus some other big players who are making games a little bit tougher to watch or a little bit more expensive to watch.
And NBC is pissing me off. Well, I'll say that for my boo. Let me save that for my boo. Let me save that.
All right, yeah. Go ahead, Toby. Cheers.
Cardiff City, that's who they were playing.
Cardiff, yeah, you're right.
Norwich. And then this isn't a cheer, but congratulations to Timo Pukki. I love a lot of Timos in this world. Pukki's my favorite of all time. Dude had his second son.
Timu Solani being number 2.
Yeah, no, definitely. But Pukki had his second son. Want to give a shout out to him. Don't know if he named him Tobias or not. Not a big deal. But yeah, so that was that. My cheers for this week is going to be in the. Actually, I wasn't even in the haze Saturday night, but when I was having a few drinks late Saturday night, stumbled across FS2. So this is what you were talking about, ESPN. FS2 is carrying LAFC Club America. FS2, most people don't even have that on a sports package on cable. So I randomly had it for some reason. Watch LAFC go 3-1 on them. Shithousery. It was a bonkers game. There's no VAR. There was red cards given. Coach was kicked out. But cheers to LAFC. I haven't been following it that much. I did watch them. I saw them play the Houston Dynamos last year when I was in Houston, and they're a pretty impressive team. So they beat the Liga MX champs, Leon, and then they played Cruz Azul, and then beat Club America, and they're actually playing right now Tigres. And if they do that and they beat them, then they're the CONCACAF Champions League, which means that they go to the World Clubs tournament, which I think Liverpool was in last year. Club
World Cup.
So it's just cool that they can have the chance and opportunity to do that with don't quote me on this. Don't quote me on anything I say in this podcast, but I'm pretty sure Mexico has won. A Mexican team has won the last 12 years that they've been doing that CONCACAF Champions League. So it's huge alone that LAFC is in it. So that is my cheers of the week, and long live Pukki.
Long live Pukki, indeed. Yeah, I think it's cool too that as the MLS gets more competitive and a little bit more of a following, that CONCACAF Champions League kind of gets a little bit more hype and becomes obviously none of these MLS or Mexican club teams can compete in the Champions League, so it would be cool to see that competition get a little bit more hype and become a little more competitive. Let's move on to our boos. Toby, you wanna carry on and hit us with your boo?
Yeah, I'm gonna just throw some shit back on that same game. Guillermo Ochoa, I'm pretty sure that's how he pronounces his last name, the goalie of Club America, who's also Mexico's national team goalie. That's what Club America is known for, is having a pretty substantial amount of the Mexican national team plays on that team. They're not the best team in the league, but they're definitely top. He went turd burglar on us and decided there's no VAR. Some dude was down, laying right next to him, and was like acting injured. Was probably overreacting, of course. Didn't get hit at all, and acted like he got hit in the face. Flopped like crazy, and the ref didn't see it at all. But he just saw the action and definitely gave a red card to the guy from LAFC. And it didn't change the game by any means. Being down a player, surprisingly, that usually always does. But it was just, I don't know, it was just it's the reason why so many people hate watching soccer. And that was it right there. And for them not to have VAR to be able to review that was just bonkers in my brain. I don't know. So that was my whole Saturday night right there in a nutshell. So
a lot of emotions. Jack, what you got? What you do?
Yeah, my boo is NBC, who I think NBC, when they've had the Premier League, has done a very good job with their commentary. Since they have brought in Peacock, I have been incredibly unimpressed with the selections that they're using of what goes on Peacock versus what goes on network, and also the constant flipping of stations. So I'll be on NBC Sports for pregame, and they'll be like, now click to NBC. I'm like, okay, well, this is a pain in the ass. I don't want to do that. And then you click to NBC, but it's already kickoff. And I'm like, all right, well, this sucks. And then half the games are on Peacock, which is fine, but they're just catering to both the cable networks and to their own platform. They're trying to keep enough on NBC cable so that the cable providers are happy, but they're also trying to, make Peacock relevant. So they're putting more on Peacock, and it's making me pay for two things. And I just fuck off. I just want to pay for one. Versus if it was just Premier League in the old thing, I could just pay for my Hulu subscription and then get NBC Sports, or MSNBC, CNBC, and they would just play on all the NBC networks. But now I have to pay for this extra thing because they stopped. I don't know. I feel like this week I just got really frustrated with how they're catering to both things, which I get. They got to make money. I understand, but as a consumer, it's incredibly frustrating to have to bounce between these two networks that they keep bouncing coverage on, but then also the app that they're using too. So versus ESPN, where I feel like ESPN has done a very good job of keeping most of everything is on the platform. Also, NBC has made it so that you can't rewatch things that were live on NBC Sports. About 3 weeks ago, you could watch the replay on Peacock. You cannot do that anymore. If it's on NBC or NBC Sports, you can't watch a replay on Peacock. So,
which is, awful, and it makes all claims that you're trying to make the sport accessible. You're trying to allow the sport to grow in this country. It's just not genuine. It doesn't feel genuine, and it's
which is not right. They're trying to make money. NBC doesn't care about growing the sport. It cares about making money off of the right. And I'm sure they paid. I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure they paid some primo rights.
Oh yeah,
to get it. But how am I doing now?
But they'll still market it like they care and like it's the beautiful game and all this bullshit. And that's my point, is that's where the business intersects with the culture. And obviously we're on the side of the culture and on the side of people who want to watch the game because they love it, people who want to play the game because they love it, people who want to be involved with the sport and help the sport grow because they love it. And those are the actions of, these bigger companies who have the money game in mind. I'm on a soapbox right now, but it kind of poisons the game a little bit. And we've had some discussions about Super League, the rumors of Super Leagues, and I was really disappointed that Liverpool owners were in those discussions of that whole discussion that took place with possibly moving on to a Super League or giving out a little bit of money to help lower financial standing clubs, but for a little bit more of a say in how the league is run. It just, again, I'm on a soapbox, but it just goes to show how much the business side of things kind of poisons the game for a lot of us who just enjoy watching it or playing it or following it. So I think it's a good boo.
Boo.
Where's the boo, Brendan? Boo.
My boo is not so serious. It is a little bit more of a goofy one. Mikel Arteta, who is, I can't imagine being now. Yeah, exactly. I just can't imagine being that guy right now. But had this bizarre monologue yesterday on Arsenal's recent form. He said, "Last year we won against Everton with a 25% chance of winning. You win 3-2. Last weekend it was a 67% chance of winning any Premier League game in history, and a 9% chance of losing, and you lose. 3% against Burnley and you lose. 7% against Spurs and you lose." I just went on a long rant about Peacock and about the game and industry, but I read that quote correctly. I'm not drunk. So I boo this man because, one, either he's just talking out of his ass, or two, that makes sense, and he's so much smarter than me that I just don't understand what the fuck he just said, and so I'll boo him because of that.
Dude,
Go ahead, Jack.
You get those. Does he think he's playing Football Manager? Like, this isn't, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't Football Manager. Like, this isn't, like, you don't get, yeah, there is proportions, but it's the Premier League. Like,
yeah.
Like, that tells me, if you're going to rattle off those stats, which I don't know where those, is that come from, what your expected goals are, based on, like, there's, like, analytics that can show you your expected goals and all these advanced analytics, right, which are part of the game. But right, this just tells me, like, what's your man management like? Like, if you have a 3% chance of losing to Burnley and you lose, then it's like, obviously, then you're just, like, not getting the most out of your players at crucial times, Statistics are important, but, yeah, the game still has to be played by people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and falling back on those percentages is, it just seems weak. You got to manage who you got. And last week, one of you two, I forget who, maybe Toby, brought up the importance of just having leaders on the pitch and connecting as a manager, connecting with those leaders, and that it just doesn't feel like something that's happening. Toby, you look like you got something you want to say.
I was going to say, one leader speaking about other leaders, that's like what I do on a daily basis. So, but no, like, just
management flag.
From a comedic perspective, like, you could tell that guy was like asking a question, and then Arteta's like, "Oh, I got a note card for that one," and like shuffled through his Rolodex and like found it. He's like 9%, 3%. Like, what the fuck? None of that matters. Like, dude, you're just not performing on any level whatsoever. You are number 4 worst team in the Premier League right now. Like, get it together. You are Arsenal. Like, even to a Tottenham person, Arsenal is huge. Like that. That's why I talk so much shit about them, is because, in my opinion, they're a top 5 team every year, but they're a top 5 worst team. Like, I saw someone put that meme of the kid who's like holding hands with a girl while checking out a girl behind him, and like, dude, that's the championship behind him. Like that kid's checking out. Like, that's where Arsenal's going. Like, there is not a doubt in my mind. If they keep playing the way they are, that's where they're going. Like, they have, and I feel bad for him because, like, I don't know how to fix it. Like, I don't know if you can fix it. Like, they just don't have the roster. They don't have the ownership to back them. Like, they have a lot of stuff going on wrong. And the funny thing is I love it. Like, I hope more of it goes wrong. Like, I continually hope that they are just done. So, I don't even mean this in a bad way, but I remember Everton, like, a year or two ago was kind of in the same perspective. Like, they were, like, on the downward, and I'm like, this is great. Like, seeing a top team, like, suck that bad. Oh, my God, Arsenal. Yeah. I'm all for it.
Jack, how do you feel about those comments that he just made?
Well, I was getting a beer, so I did hear him talk about shitting on Arsenal and Everton, but I don't know. Like, I mean, I get it, like, as a opposing fan, but I don't know. I'm all for shitting on the Arsenal train if that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, always about it.
Anyway, I mean, I'll just shit on it as much as anybody else. Arteta, like, I don't get that dialogue that he had. I just don't understand. Like, what's the purpose of, like, you don't sound smarter. You sound like you live in a different universe than what the game actually is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it sounded like a little bit? Jack, I'm going to have your back here after Toby just came at Everton. It sounded a little bit like Jose Mourinho interview in the Manchester United days, maybe? A hint of that?
I mean, I don't know if Jose would ever come out and say, like, percentages like that, but Jose would, like, try to, like,
I don't have the players. I don't have the players. You don't give me the players. He had one interview that was a little bit reminiscent of this.
I can tell you this much: if Tottenham, if they lose this weekend to the Wolves, there will be those comments. Guarantee it.
Dude, can we, dude? You know what we should do is have a live show where we listen to Arsenal TV, like fan TV on YouTube, and just react to those dudes because they have to be on another planet.
That clip that we watched this weekend was unbelievable. And I definitely think we should have at least one pod where we just eat some edibles and just live stream that.
The other thing,
I might have a heart attack. I think I would have a heart attack. I really do. The energy in that room is incredible.
My eyes may just be gone.
It's making me really mad right now. So I was like, let me go see how much a Weston McKennie jersey costs for Juventus. What's the over-under? How much you think a Juventus authentic, like, this is like an authentic kit?
120.
Yeah, exactly. It's 120.
Yeah.
It's $119
American dollars.
Sweet Jesus.
Toby was just looking at him earlier.
Well, no, I compared that to my Timo. I compared that to Timo Pukki. Market value. Weston McKennie's probably worth $40 more than Timo Pukki, and that's where I got the 80 to 120.
If I hit the lotto, the first thing I'll buy is a signed Timo Pukki jersey for you, Toby.
120 seems insanity.
Yeah, I'm sure that price went up from 80 to 120 over the last maybe month. Legitimately, I bet that.
I should have
bought about an hour 30 minutes, guys.
All right.
So I think we'll wrap it up. Unless, did you have one last little note, Jack?
Nope, absolutely not.
I got a shout out to Steve Nash, Brooklyn Nets coach, huge Tottenham Spurs fan, huge Spurs fan. That's one thing, and two, kind of talking about CBS shitting the bed with Champions League. Although, if you pay for CBS like I do, it's awesome. Like, you get every game. They have the Golazo, which is kind of like NFL.
Dude, don't shout them out right now. Come on.
I'm just saying. But anyways, he was a commentator on Bleacher Report, and he was actually really good talking soccer to the point where I'm like, he talks like he's an old soccer player, but he played basketball. He's Canadian. Like, it's not like he has like a rooted effort in it. So
he grew up playing soccer. actually.
Yeah, still. So that's my shout out since the NBA season started tonight with Brooklyn playing. So
Yeah, and they got a huge win over they shit on the Warriors. They beat them by like 30 points.
yeah,
So yeah, shout out Steve Nash forever. He's the man. Oh yeah. Also shout out to those old days when Bleacher the Report just a year ago was covering Champions League, because I think they did it really well. The Golazzo show's nice because you get a little bit of everything, but at the same time, you don't get another beef I have. You don't get, I won't go on too much of a rant, but you don't get to experience the flow of a match like you did before. And it's nice you get a little bit of everything. But I don't know, I kind of miss that flow of the match. So I'll pipe it down. I won't go off like I did on Peacock.
you're good, Keegs. The 9% just kicked in.
Hello.
It's always about the last like 20 minutes of the pod where we get going. Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, we're working on a website. I keep saying that each week, but it's kind of been a crazy week for us. Unfortunately, we all have to work regular jobs day to day, and this is not a source of income for us. It's just something we enjoy doing. So give us any shout outs you can. Help us build our podcast a bit, and we'll continue working on the website and get some stories up there. You can also follow us on any social media at Brews and Belters. And yeah, we're just gonna keep having fun with it. Keep talking all things soccer, and yeah, just keep enjoying it. Anything from you guys?
Brendan sent us out with some Limp Biscuit, buddy.
Yes, sir. Shout out.
Oh, hammer.
You can't touch this. Can't touch this.